Cue the anchors.
Here we go
Don't
again.
cover the
Millionaire
plasma.
Robert Durst and his star lawyers
This is my
vowed
sound.
to fight a second murder charge.
Sounds up.
And down
7
here in
seconds.
Galveston, people still remember him admitting that he cut up his neighbor's body and threw it in the bay.
And next sounds up. 6
They asked
seconds.
to borrow her cell phone,
Somebody
then
open.
punched her and took off in her car. How these suspects were caught.
And the opens up. Stand by camera 1.
KHOU 11 News starts
And
now.
cue the anchors.
Tonight, multimillionaire Robert Durst is sitting in jail in New Orleans, awaiting extradition to Los Angeles to face murder charges. His
Deals
team of
up.
high-profile Houston
Stand by
attorneys are
boxes.
saying he's innocent, even though an HBO documentary called The Jinx revealed some key pieces of evidence linking him to his friend's killing.
We have team coverage on this. Let's begin with our Rux Russell live in New Orleans with the very latest. Rux?
And Rux is up. Anchor mics are clear.
Right, Durst said very little in
Going
court
to a
today.
package
His attorney
next.
did most of the talking, both inside and on the front steps of that courthouse behind me.
Package is up.
We're ready to go to California.
This is 48 seconds. Accused have a
He said
trial.
all his client wants is his day in court, but not
This
this
back
one,
out to
where
live,
Robert
then go to
Durst
Cam
stood
3, 2,
before a
1,
magistrate waived his right for
Greg.
an extradition hearing. The eccentric heir faces a first-degree murder charge in California for the death of his longtime associate Susan Berman. She was found slain in her L.A. home nearly 15 years ago. FBI agents arrested Durst in this hotel lobby Saturday night. They believe he drove to New Orleans and planned to flee to Cuba to avoid prosecution. But Dick DeGuerin says the state of Louisiana is considering filing local felony charges against his client, which will only
10
keep him
seconds.
here
Accused
lot
have a
longer
trial.
than he had hoped.
Bob Durst didn't kill Susan Berman. He's ready to end all the rumor and speculation and have a trial.
And cue the live. Live's up.
I spoke to DeGuerin late this afternoon. He thinks it
Going to
could take
Cam
up
3,
to
2,
a
1
week
plans next.
before he'll be able to get his client onto a plane to California. Tonight at 6, you're going to hear from a Houston woman who was actually inside that hotel lobby and saw as Robert Durst was arrested. Likely something she says she'll never forget.
Here we go. Stand by 3.
Reporting live
Greg's
in New
mic's
Orleans,
open.
Rux Russell, KHOU 11 News.
And 3's up.
Durst did admit to dismembering his neighbor in Galveston the year after Susan Berman's death, but was acquitted of the murder on the island. Our Doug Miller is live
And live's
there
up.
with an interesting thing that he discovered. Doug?
Anchor mics are clear.
Well, here is where Robert Durst
Gonna do a
dumped
package
bunch of
next?
garbage bags containing the dismembered parts of a corpse. You can actually see it from the Galveston Causeway back in the background there. But it's a house in a quiet neighborhood near here that's become a sort of tourist attraction.
Package is up. This is 107. Accused ghoulish crime.
Galveston has its share of historic homes.
Now this back
but
out to
none of them
live,
have
then
a
we'll go to
history
Cam
quite
1
like
Lisa.
this.
Someday there'll be a historical marker in front of this house.
It's the stuff
If
of
it's easier,
urban
Cam 1
legend,
can
the
get
scene of
Lisa
what
from the
may be
front,
most
so you don't have to
notorious
move that
crime
far.
in Galveston's history,
Mr. Durst, you want to tell us what happened?
where Robert Durst dismembered a neighbor's body, disposing of everything but the head in Galveston Bay. Well, a strange thing happened while Durst was on trial.
There was a tremendous amount of security.
Realtor David Bowers says Durst tried to buy another house down the street. And based on what Durst's friends told him, he believes the
30
accused
seconds.
killer had earlier crawled beneath the house and broken in through a hatch in the floor.
One of the two people made a joke about the head, and the other one was quite serious that he thought the head was in one of the chimneys.
The truth is, they never found Morris Black's head.
And it just gives me the creeps, you know, that it happened here in Galveston.
10 seconds. Accused
I
ghoulish
just can't
crime.
believe it.
Now, neighbors say
Here
this
we go.
place has become a stop for ghost tours, a reminder of a very ghoulish crime.
And cue the live. Live's up. You going to Cam 1
Now,
Lisa
we
next?
spoke with the Galveston property owner who actually owns that apartment building where Durst once lived. Robert Durst's former landlord didn't really want to talk on camera, understandably, but he did want people to know that he's anxious for this entire show to be over with. Reporting live
Just to
from
make everyone,
Galveston, Doug Miller,
anchor mics are
KHOU
open.
11 News.
Doug, thank
What's
you.
up?
The Durst
Just my
family in
graphics.
New York released a statement in support of law enforcement.
Graphics
It
up.
says, quote, "We are
Cam, I'll give you
relieved
2
and
shot.
also grateful to everyone who assisted in the arrest of Robert Durst. We hope he will be finally held
Just to make
accountable for all he has done."
Now keep in
Yeah,
mind
what's
that
up?
was his family's response, which
Just my
might be a
sound.
little surprising, but it's the HBO miniseries that ended with a real bombshell moment.
You can hear Robert Durst in the bathroom with his microphone on, and some think it's a confession. Take a listen.
Sounds up. 11 seconds. Our cue is of course.
Drop the super.
Kill them all. Of course.
And cue.
Kill them all, of course. There's also another key moment when
You
the
had Cam
letter
2 next?
discovered that Durst wrote to the murder victim. You can see the handwriting on the address there appears to match the address written on an anonymous note to police after Susan Berman was killed. Now, this evidence being part of
And
the TV
Tuesday?
show opens a whole can of worms. Our legal analyst Gerald Treese is here to help sort it all out. Thanks for being with us, Jerry.
I don't think I can sort it out, but I'll
That's
try.
a lot.
Well, to begin with, is this in fact an admission of guilt? And then number two, can it even be used in trial?
Mr. May 3.
Actually, it may be if it's a
3-7.
spontaneous utterance. It's an exception to the hearsay rule. If whatever you say, it might come in, it's just something on your own. But the problem with that, you
So my
listen
boxes.
to what these producers, the HBO series said.
Boxes
They
are up.
said this happened, this conversation, all of this was 2.5, 3 years ago. And that the question in this professor's mind is how complicit was law enforcement in working with them? And in addition to that, I can't imagine for a man anything more private than a men's restroom. So I think his good lawyers are gonna have quite a battle here, because they're gonna fight if the Fourth Amendment's involved, and that means if the government is complicit with these producers at HBO, then this evidence may not come in at all. But if they're not, if you make a statement to me that's against your interests, it's usually admissible. But not if I'm disguised law enforcement, which I'm not. But if I'm a secret FBI agent, that's a different story. So I think the Fourth Amendment may take a hand in this, and it may be a strange result.
So the director of this
What's up?
docuseries said they handed over this evidence to LAPD years ago. They're just now jumping on
Smith
this
2.
arrest.
2's up.
Is the
Smith 3.
timing, does it seem odd to you?
I think it is. I think it,
3's up.
the thing that bothers me most about this, the question is not is Robert Durst a big creepy guy? He
How
probably
much
is.
longer for this
But the question is on
segment?
these 28-year-old murders.
About a minute.
Murders that
Okay.
happened so long ago, did he do those? And the real
don't have
question,
much
I
video
think,
left.
is did the government
I have
play
50
by the
seconds
rules
left.
here? Did they get in front of this production, or are they merely the receivers of information from a private source? And with DeGuerin and Lewis involved in this thing, my questions, the questions I'm posing, they're going to get right into it because, to me, I think it's damaging evidence. I'm not sure it's a confession, but it certainly doesn't help him any more
Mr.
than
May Camera
that
3 full.
handwriting exemplar. It sure looks to these
Thumbs
eyes
up
pretty
full.
much like the same person. But
And
that's why.
and
Smith
the
2,
word
2's up.
Beverly was
Yes.
misspelled on it as well.
But see, the great thing
Smith
about
3.
this, and I always tell
3's
my
up.
students, every time this community is up in
Have this
arms
be going
against
to a
someone
graphic,
this,
eventually going to
that's
Cam
the
1 on
time
the
when
2 shot.
Constitution needs to stand up.
For
And these two
8-8.
lawyers who have been his lawyers here, they're gonna make the government in California explain every piece of evidence. And just like you and I talked about before, the question about how can a man do what this
A9
man
and
did in
A12 are
Galveston,
dead, so it'll be
admit
Cam 1
that he
2
did in
shot to a
Galveston,
package.
Dismember the body.
and be
2's
acquitted.
up.
Right.
And like I'm saying, Citizen Durst
Smith
is a
3.
strange, twisted play that is now continuing
3's
in
up.
Act 3 and maybe 4 and 5.
Smith 2.
We will see
2's
if
up.
any of this sticks. Gerald Treese, thank you as always for being
I'm
with
here.
us.
Thanks, Jerry. And you can stay with
Okay,
KHOU
grab
11
some.
News for up-to-the-minute coverage
We
of
got
the
Cam
arrest
1
of
next.
Robert Durst. We'll also be keeping you up to date on KHOU.com.
And 1's
We're
up.
supposed to be safe at school, but one Willis High School student faced
Smith
a
package.
terrifying warning.
She certainly did. She was carjacked in the school parking lot. Our Tim Wetzel talked with Shenandoah police who were able to catch a couple of suspects.
Package is up.
Police tell us the suspects are all juveniles. In fact,
This
two of
is
them
1:30
actually
standard
went
out
to the
queue.
victim's school.
Out of this
They
will be
were
out to
caught
Cam 1
about
2
an
2
hour
Plaza
after the
Lisa.
carjacking, and the arrest was all caught on tape. Dashcam video shows police following three teens in a stolen car down I-45. When officers pulled them over, they came out with their hands up. Two young men and one girl. Two of the suspects are accused of carjacking a student from just outside Willis High. Officers say the suspect
Minute away.
asked to borrow her cell phone, then punched her, jumped into her car, and took off.
This young lady's been injured. She's been traumatized. What a way to start a Monday morning.
About an hour later, a Shenandoah police officer spotted the vehicle and made the arrest. According to Willis ISD, two of the suspects are students at the school. The victim's classmates say they're surprised.
Students attacking students. It's pretty wild, like, because you never think about that. Like, it's a small school, so everybody know each other mostly.
30
School
seconds.
officials say the victim had only minor injuries and was able to complete the rest of her school day. The suspects, though, spent their day behind bars.
I don't know where they think they can get away with this. I don't know where they think they won't be caught. All the agencies in this county and every other county around us talk to each other. We know where they're going to go.
15.
We are going to find them. You're not going to escape justice. It's futile to even engage.
10 seconds. Standard out cue.
Police
Stand
tell
by
us the
camera 1.
suspects are all facing felonies. They're being processed right now at a juvenile facility in Conroe. In Montgomery
Here we
County,
go.
Tim Wetzel, KHOU 11 News.
And one's up.
Now to a spring break
Some
scare
video.
in Galveston, where a trip to the beach could have turned tragic for one family there.
Video's up.
It's a story every parent needs to hear before heading out to the
Stand by live.
island. Andrew Horansky is live along
And
with Seawall
live's
to
up.
explain what happened. Andrew.
Anchor mics are clear.
That's right, this one happened
Go to
in
package
plain
next.
sight. A girl out swimming on the beach with her family, and it wasn't even here they realized that there was even a problem. It was back at the hotel.
Package is up. This is 55 seconds.
It
Our
may
cue
be
is
warm enough for
minutes
swimming,
max.
but the water is still cold enough for hypothermia. Which is why some parents are pacing their kids.
It is pretty cold. We'll probably
This back out to
keep
live. They're
them,
going to 2 on
probably
a 2
in the
shot.
water for
And
just
showing
a
the
few minutes
boxes
and
with
then
Brooks
keep
at
them
the
out
wall.
for a while too.
This weekend, a teen girl visiting Galveston enjoyed the first sunny day of the week a little too much. Swimming for hours, she came down with hypothermia.
This particular case, they didn't realize that their kid was, so cold until they got back to the hotel.
Peter Davis is with the island's beach patrol and said that water temperatures are about 5 to 10 degrees colder right now. Swimmers can tell.
What does the water feel like today?
Cold.
Too cold?
No.
Though officials say it
10
is
seconds.
perfectly safe to
Somebody
go
live.
in, it shouldn't be long.
5 away.
No more than 15 to 20 minutes max.
And cue to live. Live's up.
Now, as for that young victim, we're
You know,
told
2 on
she
2
is
shot
doing
next,
fine.
mentioning the
After
boxes.
EMS arrived, they were able to treat her. She did not even need to go to the hospital. But of course, parents do need to pay attention because the water may be warm, but also could cause hypothermia. Reporting live from
Anchor mics
Galveston,
are
I'm Andrew Horansky, KHOU 11 News.
And 2's up.
Glad she's okay.
Gotta be careful.
I like the water about 30 degrees warmer.
Yes,
than that.
boxes.
It's going to take a while to get there. A lot of you have been enjoying
Boxes
spring
are
break this week. Brooks Garner is in for David Paul with an early look at the forecast.
Good evening. Yes, you can always tell the age of the swimmer based on, well, if they're wearing a jacket on the beach or in the water wearing, just a bathing suit. Amazing to see. But hey, yes,
He's up.
it's by
Anchor mics are clear.
at least air temperature really warm outside, of course, compared to the water. 75 in Houston. It is 70 in Galveston, a little cooler thanks to those adjacent Gulf waters. Currently running right
Add this
around
back out to
60
cam 2 for the
degrees,
start
a
of the
little less.
tees.
So yes, it does get chilly pretty quickly. 75 degrees in Conroe. We've had a lot of clouds around today. That's still the case. Woodlands, mostly cloudy skies, 74 degrees. Clouds moving in from the south
Show 'em
ahead
right.
of two things. One, increasing heat, and also a chance for rain. I'll tell you when both
Anchor
of
mics
those
are open.
arrive coming up, guys.
See you in a few. Thanks, Brooks.
2's
Still to
up.
come here at 5, controversial comments from 2 fashion designers about same-sex couples raising kids.
What they said about in vitro fertilization and surrogate parents that has some people boycotting their luxury brand.
Plus, Bristol Palin is tying the knot. We'll tell you about her husband-to-be and what her mom has to say.
And Justin Bieber's in the hot seat as celebrities take
It's my
turns telling him how they really feel.
Sounds up. 6 seconds.
New at 6, a night at the rodeo turns dangerous after a man falls from an escalator. Details coming up.
2:10 break. Good first block.